there, hi there, ho there. Welcome to season 22 of the Prep Pigskin Report. My name is Rudy, and I'll be your host on the 60-minute gallop, but I do not work alone. Hey, everybody, say hello to Bert.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Bert, how was your week?
Great so far. Great so far.
All right. Well, we tend to start this off with a feature conversation.
Yes, we do.
It's brought to you by the folks at Mossy Solar Heating and Air. We're going to heat things up with a cool conversation with two-time Super Bowl champion
Mark Bavaro. Mark and I were together in Philadelphia, became friends. Interesting fact, because neither one of us practiced a single day that year, so we sat next to each other in the training room and became friends.
Very good. Mark, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you guys?
We are well, sir. Being that we have a high school audience, and our theme of this show is going to be, we're going to speak to one of the top tight ends in our county a little bit later. So let's start it out right there. What is your, when you talk to high school athletes, what is your number one tip?
It depends on what position they're playing or whatever, but I mean, the biggest tip is just to listen to your coaches, work out, pay attention, and try your best. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Simple formula.
Yeah. Mark, let me ask you another question. You were at Notre Dame. I remember when you came out, if you were a little older, you had some red flags as far as attitude. Did you have problems with the coaches there?
At Notre Dame, yeah, I did. And it wasn't my fault at all.
Oh, of course not. But again, here's the issue when we're talking about kids. You ended up with Bill Parcells, who was a perfect fit for you, but if you would end up with Ray Perkins, you wouldn't be on the Hall of Fame ballot right now, correct?
Right, I probably would have killed Ray Perkins. No, Bill Parcells was the exact right coach for me at the right moment in my career. I never would have achieved any of the success in the NFL anyways without him.
Hey, we're looking at some video of some contemporary tight ends. The position has evolved considerably from the time you played, has it not?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah.
In what way?
It's become much more athletic, much more, receiving dominant. It's almost nothing like I remember. In fact, the only guy that I would say that reminds me of myself and tight ends back in the day that we played, Bert, is George Kittle. I think he's just an outstanding tight end. I think if there are high school tight ends out there who want to know what it's like to be a tight end, just watch him for a few games and you'll see it.
Hey, Mark, you're part of two Super Bowls, 1986 and 1990, one with Phil Simms, one with Jeff Hostetler. Who would have won if those two teams would have played?
That's a good question, Bert. We never looked at it that way, but I honestly don't know. I really don't. They were both good in their own way. They were both very different. But they also both had a lot of the same players, so at different times in their career. So it would be very interesting to see what would happen.
We're looking at highlights of you right now in those Super Bowls. The thing I liked about '89 is you wore the lineman face mask. The kind of light you could have been a left tackle with that face guard.
Well, I mean, I never even considered wearing anything else. I mean, you needed as much contact as we had back in the day, especially on the line and the blocking that I was required to do. I needed that bar running down the middle of my face mask. I would not have gone into action with an open space between, those bars. A lot of fingers, a lot of hands.
I bet. Hey, talking about the Super Bowls, how often does the jewelry come out? Is that something that's so tucked away that you never even look at it, or is it something you wear with pride at team functions when you get together with the guys?
Yeah, it's mostly ceremonial. One of my rings is at Giant Stadium in the museum there. It's just sitting there. I donated it for a little while. But the other one, honestly, they're so small that it's almost embarrassing to get to the rings today. Like, you don't really show them off anymore because, it would take 4 of the old 80s rings to equal one ring today. They're just so minuscule.
So they have gotten a little gaudy over the years.
All right, Mark. We often talked about this before. Compared to how much better was I than Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to, make a choice, it would be a hard one. But I think I never heard Lawrence Taylor sing on the bed with Romanowski in his underwear. Well, I might have to give the nod to you, Brett.
I appreciate that.
Well, we bring it up, and you had an up-close personal look at Lawrence Taylor, who, by even today's standards, is just a freak of nature. How good was 56?
Yeah, he was amazing. You know, when you compare players from different eras, I mean, he's one of those guys that time doesn't matter. You know, he would have dominated today. He would have dominated anywhere. And he, you know, it wasn't just his physical abilities. You know, it was his mental attitude, the attitude he had, the drive to win, to succeed, to beat his opponent. But not just that. You know, he was the ultimate and consummate team player. He was always encouraging to us, always lifting us up. Never acted like a prima donna. You know, it was always one guys. You know, what he did off the field was a little different. You know, I mean, I hang out with him for those times, but in the locker room, on the practice field, and especially on Sundays, you couldn't ask for a better teammate. And I don't know that you can say that about some of the superstars that you've seen through the history of the NFL. This guy was the best.
Wait, just to clarify, are you talking about Lawrence Taylor or me? Right now.
No, Lawrence.
All right,
you're a close second.
All right, I was checking.
Mark, we have to call it a conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the insight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always great to see our guys doing great things at the next level and levels beyond. So this week I wanted to highlight Tim Patrick, formerly of University City High and now a member of the Denver Broncos. Patrick had a career-high 113 yards receiving and a touchdown in Denver's 37-28 win over the Jets last week.
And how about this one, too? Don Chapman, the former Lincoln Hornet, now of North Carolina University.
That's easy for you to say.
7 tackles last week against Boston College as they went on to win 26-22. The Tar Heels take on the 2016 Pigskin finalist Braxton Burmeister and the Virginia Tech Hokies this Saturday.
So that'll probably be featured in next week's PPR.
Yes.
Now, our goals are to keep the finger on the pulse of San Diego high school football, even during a pandemic. We call this segment Bacon Bits, brought to you by Holland RV Centers. Adventures start right here, an adventure that starts with Mr. Brandon Stone.
Yes.
Guys, I was taking a look through that Mountain West Week 1 schedule, and I found a little hidden gem. Utah State facing Boise State. Do you know what that means? Silver Pigskin brother versus brother. Zeke Noah at linebacker for Boise against LL Leon Noah, running back, Utah State. Imagine what happens if brother tackles brother. Very exciting. What do you have, Madhouse?
Brandon, I gotta tell ya, the athletes over at Mater Dei Catholic haven't let this pandemic slow them down from putting in the work. 13 Crusaders received college offers during this so-called off time, and 8 of those guys received D1 offers. Some notable schools like Oregon, Idaho, and Fresno State. Now look out for this powerhouse Crusaders this next season as they try to dominate in Division III. Nick, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Madison. I want to talk to you about synthetic turf against natural grass. Now, it seems as though the student athletes that I've talked to and coaches, they much rather play on the synthetic fast track against natural grass. And also, the grass, you have to water it and treat it and take care of it, and the landscaping. Synthetic field turf don't have that problem. Beau, what do you have?
We are 91 days away from our first high school football game in San Diego, and the Fallbrook Warriors are going out with the old and in with the new, as they'll be sporting this new look the next time they step on the field. The Warriors add the fresh design in hopes for a fresh new start in 2021. Now to Nick Polino.
Great stuff, Beau. On Tuesday, the media got one last look inside of SDCCU Stadium, which served as the home of the CIF football championships before moving to Southwestern College in 2014. Formerly known as Qualcomm, the stadium was home to some of the most exciting championship games ever played, including one of my favorites when Cathedral defeated San Pasquale 37-31 in overtime for the D1 title. Allison, what do you have cooking?
Thanks, Nick. This season, there are some changes in the Grossmont leagues. Valhalla here is moving from the Grossmont Hills League to the Grossmont Valley League, along with El Capitan, while the Grossmont Hills League will now only make up Helix, Steel Canyon, Grossmont, and Granite Hills.
And Bert, would you like to contribute a bacon bit?
I would, and you might recognize this name. Arch Manning, quarterback, sophomore debut, the nephew of Eli and Peyton, throws for 6 touchdowns Actually, he threw for 5 touchdowns, ran for 1 at his debut in New Orleans this past week.
Good bloodline, I would say.
They are playing football, obviously, too.
Yes, good point.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of football being played around the country, and so far, knock on wood, there's been no COVID-19 side effects from playing high school football. Hey, let's give away some PPR gear. This is where Bert says, here's Nick Polino and tonight's El Cajon Ford Pigskin trivia question.
I can't read.
Hey everybody, Nick Polino with tonight's Nobody Beats El Cajon Ford Pigskin Trivia Question. The Madison Warhawks have had their fair share of silver pigskin finalists throughout the years, but which of the following 5 players was left off of the podium? A. Keenan Kristen, B. Chase Knox, C. Terrell Carter, D. Kareem Coles Jr., or E. Pierre Cormier. We'll have the answer for you later in the show, along with the name of one lucky winner who will be sent some PPR gear as well as El Cajon Ford. PPR and El Cajon Ford. Nobody treats you better.
You know, we're supposed to remember when we're supposed to wear our El Cajon Ford lids. All right, here's what we have coming up on the PPR. Honoring our veterans is King Amanpour's Digging for Silver. Hollandia Daria will be featuring a raised glass of milk, Troy Faulkner. And you already saw the interview with Mark Bavaro. So we have a bunch of other stuff coming your way, including a new sponsor. Sprouts is joining the show in Squad Up. Maddie Sinclair will have that conversation. We're also talking to Matthew Lauter in the Blue Chip interview. Chris Hauser's coming up. All sorts of conversations coming your way. Let's come out and give the lid. Can you come out to us on camera here? Just so we can show our lids.
The lids?
Yeah, our El Cajon Ford lids. Thank you, Paul Dyke, for being once again with the show. We'll be right back with more Good Morning. Well, with more
Good Morning San Diego.
PPR Unplugged. I get my shows mixed up.
And with 3:13 to go in the ball game, Gunnar Gray off the play action going to KC Grand Force. 12-point comeback, tying this one at 30. Tumbling, running through traffic like Pat Mahomes, and he's going to go ahead and find downtown Javelle Brown right in the red zone, which means it's going to be up to Daniel Domingo to kick the game winner from 27 yards out, and he leaves no room for doubt.
My heart was beating, I was shaking. But you know, my coaches told me not to be nervous. I think you should believe in yourself 100%, and that's how you get things in life.
Welcome back to the Prep Pigskin Report, now in our 22nd season. The PPR has seen more than its share of memorable moments. Brandon Stone, having been around for a big chunk of those 22 years, is now in charge of the King Amanpour Digging for Silver segment. Basically, we just dig through the archives for the most memorable moments of the PPR. Thank
One of
you,
my
King
favorites.
Amanpour.
Here on the PPR, we get the joy of talking about football every Friday, but we know that we couldn't do what we do without the service and the sacrifice of our veterans. And that's what we're talking about in this week's Digging for Silver.
Isaac Davis walking the flag in for the national anthem, surprising his son.
Often you see our fighting men and women returning to their families on the PPR, like last October, in this moment from Victory Christian.
Greatest feeling I ever had in my life. He's been away for so long. Yeah, I miss him so much.
Or back in 2015, live on our air, a Wolverine getting a huge surprise.
D dreamed about it this summer, kind of talked to the coaches about it, and the coaches along with Tara pretty much made it happen. It was special.
Of course, the Silver Pigskin Gala is a showcase for our fighting forces. Here are some wise words from Midway docent Rob Boyd.
Thing that never changes, it never changes for 1 second, is our commitment to our people, to our communities, and to this great nation.
Sometimes the players get involved. Their family history becomes a part of our family history.
Your dad's a lieutenant commander in the Navy. Chris Verdell and Sabrina, could you please stand up?
Those who have served, we say thank you. Brandon Stone for the Prep Pigskin Report.
Well done, Brandon
Yeah, that
Stone.
was a good one.
Big thank you to King Amanpour for being part of the show as well. Throughout the fall, we talk with the bluest of the blue chippers, starting tonight. Would you like to introduce him?
You're going to make me do this?
Torrey Pines tight end, Matt Lauter. What makes Torrey Pines such a great place to go to school?
Well, I love Torrey Pines. I moved to Torrey Pines from Gainesville, Florida as a freshman, and right away I met new friends, and the football team just brought me in as a family. Just everything about Torrey I love. The stadium, the wing tee was actually fun. We ran that for a little while.
You're from Gainesville, Florida. Does the name Tom Petty mean anything to you?
No, I've not heard of Tom Petty.
Tom Petty is a big rocket from Gainesville, Florida. I think that you would hear that name all growing up, but I forget that we're about 50 years apart in age. As a tight end playing in the wing tee, any particular? Are you a blocker who can catch, or how does that work for you?
Yes, sir. Well, I was playing at about 200 pounds last year, so I wasn't the best at blocking, but my route running was still pretty good. So we would change the offense around and sometimes give me the rock on routes and stuff like that. But I'm working on my blocking, and I've been working on that all off season.
The position of tight end has evolved somewhat. When I was your age, tight ends were nothing more than an extra blocker, but nowadays you're more receiver than you are blocker. Can you talk a little bit about the evolution of the position?
Yeah, I would say you look at the NFL now and you see players like Kittle and players like Kelsey, and you know they're very good at route running, but they also do their job when it's their time to block too. I would just say, like, you watch NFL games now and you see tight ends, they sometimes take over the game because they're able to do both blocking and passing too.
Let's talk about the Boise State experience. I've been on that campus. It's a beautiful campus. Tell us about the decision.
I love Boise State overall. George Kittle, the tight end coach, actually brought me in. He started texting me about a few months ago, and they offered me about a month in of talking. And then I went to visit the school, and overall I loved it. Everything about it was just amazing. The people there were awesome. It's a great school. I think I would fit into this offense too. They just got a new transfer, quarterback from USC, who's a 4-star. He's really good. So I'm super excited about that.
Is there the temptation to throttle back once you have the commitment? Do you stop working as hard, or do you work even harder?
I definitely work harder. I really don't see the commitment about, like, you know, I'm just going to stay on my path. I'm not going to, like, brag about anything. You know, I'm just going to keep working, keep my head down. That's how I was raised to do it. So,
well, if the football thing doesn't work out, you could always go into Cirque du Soleil. We saw video of you as a 6'4" gymnast. Can you tell us about your ability to do backflips?
Actually, growing up in Florida, my older brother, Steve, me and him would go to our neighbor's trampoline, and we would just grind and do flips and stuff like that. And eventually we learned how to do backflips flat ground, which was awesome.
You come from a great bloodline. Your old man made it to the NFL. Tell us about his role in your development as an athlete and as a human being.
Growing up, he's always pushed me, you know, but he wasn't that dad that was really always in my face. Now he's more in my face. He's always like, eat, you know, because I got to be putting on weight. But yeah, he's a great guy and he loves the game. He's a very hard worker too, car salesman. So I don't really get to see him that much.
Right now, as it sits, say the football season starts in January, are you going to be on the field?
Yes, sir. I will be on the field.
So as we wrap this conversation up, you're in the conversation for the prestigious Silver Pigskin. What would it mean to you to be considered the best of the best in San Diego County?
Truly, that would be a huge honor. I would never see myself in this situation coming here as a freshman who wasn't pulled up to varsity. You know, I just kept grinding, and now I'm in a great position to succeed. So I'm super excited.
Great piece, wasn't it?
Well, that was put together by Nick Polino. Afterwards, he asked his dad who Tom Petty was. And his dad said,
that's an old time. Yeah. So we have a new sponsor, Sprouts, one of my favorite stores, Sprouts Fresh Farmers Market. And they're sponsoring this one. The Prep Pigskin Report has always been more than a highlight show.
That's right.
It's part of the high school experience.
It sure is, Bert.
Here's Madison Sinclair with your guy. You know what? You're messing me up. With this week's Squad Up, the Rancho Buena Vista High School Color Guard.
That's
Brought to you by my Sprouts.
As soon as the football team gets on the field, it all goes into hyper mode. The stands will shake, the crowd's gonna be yelling the entire time, everyone's just screaming on their feet. Anytime I come back on a Friday night, I'm always looking forward to it. It's a whole nother atmosphere to be in. It's a lot of fun.
And that atmosphere doesn't miss a beat when the RBV High School Band and Color Guard comes riding in.
I think it brings a lot of energy to the stands, and a lot of the people in the stands really enjoy listening to us.
I love performing because I get to be expressive and tell a story with my body language and my face, and it's really fun.
The band's big performance is always at halftime, but they play like it's the fourth quarter.
It's great to walk off the field and know you had the best run or the best show that you've ever had. You're so proud of yourself and proud of your friends and proud of the whole program.
It goes kind of both ways with football and band. The football team, you'll have the quarterback that needs to have that good communication between the running back and the receivers and stuff like that. And then you'll have us. Majority of the band looks down to our section, the tubas, just because we have the deeper sound. So the way it works is you listen to the lower sounds and you kind of fit in with them.
What this has taught me is to never take anything for granted and to always perform like it's your last show, because you never know when it truly will be.
I'm going to be excited. It's going to be a ton of fun being able to get back into the atmosphere.
I think that once we get back, we'll all really take that to heart, and we're not going to take it for granted ever again, because we now understand what it's like to lose something you love, and I think that's a really big thing that it at least taught me and a lot of other seniors.
I'm Madison Sinclair for the Prep Pigskin Report.
Thank you, Madison. Do not adjust the audio on your TVs at the lights at RBV where that had that much hum in them.
And I'm struggling too.
I
always am, but that's
we're used to that. Hey, time for another break. Coming up, we'll check in with, it's called the Hey Joe segment, but we're not going to be talking to Joe Hines. We're going to be talking to someone in his office. Plus, we're going to raise a glass to the Hollandia student athlete and a bunch more. You're watching the Prep Pigskin Report Unplugged. Hey, usually we'd be welcoming in CIF Commissioner Joe Hines in a segment we call Hey Joe, but instead we're welcoming his Assistant Commissioner, Todd Kaysen, to the show. Hey, Todd, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you for the opportunity to be on the PPR.
It is an honor, sir. I guess the county got to know you best through an article in the UT on your appointment as Assistant Commissioner. These are troubling times to take on a gig of this nature, but it was a no-brainer for you, was it not?
Paul, athletics is really what brought me to my career. So, into teaching and then administration. So the opportunity to really spend full time working on the section athletics and follow in the footsteps of Jerry Sneap and John Labita was truly a no-brainer. Also, the opportunity to work with Joe Hines, you can't pass that up.
I bet.
Well, which I want to lead into. Thank you for the professionalism today. Usually Joe Hines last week came from the Wiener Schnitzel drive-thru, is where he did his Zoom call. So we appreciate the professionalism.
Yes.
I want you to know, Bert, he's in the same place when he's Zooming with me. So.
Hey, so Poway's talking about returning in person, Westview also. How does that affect this outcome as far as play goes?
I think, right now, schools could actually participate in athletics even if they stayed virtual the entire time, Bert. That doesn't affect their eligibility. I think the key part is getting students back onto campus and getting back into that regularity of being on campus on a daily basis and following those protocols that are keeping people safe when they are returning to campus.
Have you guys been any part of the Sweetwater situation down there as far as advising them? I know it's a district thing with the board, but have you guys talked to them at all about, trying to move forward with something?
We're in communication on a regular basis, but I think, each of our conferences, has their own, I would say, hurdles to getting back into opening up their campuses for participations. That's really a district decision, but yeah, we are in contact on a regular basis.
Hey, tell us about you were with Westview when they opened up, right?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
I was the athletic director when we opened up.
Yeah. So, what did you learn from that experience, and how is it going to help you in your new job?
Oh, God, great question, Paul. You're bringing me back and making me feel a lot younger, so I appreciate that. I think you learned that you really have to do, you really try to do everything. You're really trying to build the best environment for your students and your student athletes, and that's really around the culture that is set. So you really got to pay attention to every single detail and really have a vision and a goal of where you want to be. And then you got to work and take those steps to get to that place. And it's a lot like, moving into the CIF offices at this time. Well, actually, we don't have an office, which is why you see me here in my bedroom.
Right.
but it's really about having that plan and starting to put those baby steps together so we can reach it here in the near future.
Well, Todd, we sure appreciate you taking time for talking to us, and we sure appreciate the backdrop as opposed to your cohort in the CIF offices who
will not be named right now.
Yeah, yes, we got to get him an interior director.
Yeah.
All right, Todd.
Just wanted to thank you guys for all the things that you do in shining a light on high school sports with not only the Prep Pigskin report, but the All Sports report. It really hits the equity piece that's really big for Joe and I moving forward.
Well, we will continue to be a good partner, I promise you that. And I will accept your thanks on behalf of Brandon Stone and the KUSI Sports Department. All right, Todd, we got to go. Time to now raise a glass of cold Hollandia milk to this week's featured student athlete. Hey, Bert, cheers.
Not only do we have the new Hollandia Paul Rudy bobblehead.
Yes. So don't have a cow. Here's Allison Edmonds shining a spotlight on Mission Hill's Troy Faulkner.
Mission Hill's Troy Faulkner may play center, but he also helps his team stay centered on the fields.
Leading by example, I'm always just trying to be the first one there, always working the hardest, always just pushing my teammates to work harder.
But one of the things he works the hardest on is his schoolwork.
My parents have always told me that grades come first. You know, I'm not playing football if I can't get my grades done. So that's been something that's been instilled in me since I was a little kid, even with youth football. Like, I can't play unless I'm getting it done in the classroom. So that's just been something my whole life that I've had to focus on.
Andy is hoping that dedication to school helps him get to that next level.
I'm looking to play football at the next level. I have a few offers right now. Just want to keep continuing to get more and more and get better this season. It all depends on the senior season and my grades, of course. You got to get it done in the classroom to be able to get it done on the field.
This is Allison Edmonds with the Hollandia Dairy Student Athlete of the Week.
Thank you, Allison.
Time for another timeout. Beau Fertig joins us up next in the fray with, oh, Gus.
We're going to have more. Let's check out this PPR home life of Brevin Lingau coming up right after these commercial words.
Straight from the tuba's mouth, the alarm clock pep rally from Valhalla High School. They're all sleeping like little babies. Look at them. Look how many of them. I figured out that Valhalla loves KUSI.
Mike Castellucci, the year 2011, Valhalla, always a site for great alarm clock pep rallies. How you doing, Bert?
I've been better. I'm slipping a little today.
I'll say, Beau Fertig. Normally, we start the show in the South Bay with Beau Fertig. Those are usually the first highlights we show, but with no football highlights to show you, Beau Fertig has had to be kind of like an athlete. He lines up in different positions. Here's Beau Fertig and a look at former Lincoln Hornet star, now turned USD Torero, Benjo O'Brien. Take a listen.
My grandfather played at USC, so growing up, him and my dad were the ones teaching me how to catch and throw the ball. He took me to my first USC game with my dad. Hearing the stories that he told me about playing there and hearing the grind that he went through and his teammates went through, it just inspired me. It made me want to be the athlete I am.
With what you've experienced in your first year, what advice would you give to high school athletes?
Listen to your coaches, because most of them do know what they're talking about, and everything I've heard on my way up to this level about how high paced and how complex it is true.
What were some of the biggest factors to get you where you're at today?
I think definitely coaches. I grew up playing with some of the best coaches in San Diego. Who you associate yourself with, players and teammates, it gets you a long way, because you want to be with the best competition. You want to be with people that know the game.
What helped you make your decision to attend USD?
It's very important to think of it outside of football. That was my opinion. You don't want to think on just the football aspect. You want to think about if you were to get hurt or something like that, do you want to live in that place for 4 years? Do you want to get the education from that university?
And remember, athletes, the best high school experience only happens at one place in San Diego.
Being able to live that dream of committing on KUSI in front of my friends, in front of my family, in front of everyone watching on TV, it was an amazing experience.
Beau Fertig with the Prep Pigskin Report.
You know, he's one of the most liked kids I have ever seen in high school. Anybody you talk to.
And he adapted to a new school like that. So,
anybody you talk to says the same thing.
Well, let's bring in our coach of the week, who needs no introduction, really, because he runs one of the best programs in San Diego County, maybe in Southern California, Mr. Chris Hauser from Mission Hills. Hey, Coach.
Hello, guys. Good to be here.
Coach, how you doing? What are you expecting this year? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having a rough night tonight. What are you expecting this year with this crazy new schedule out of an always strong Mission Hills squad this year?
Well, expecting is a tough one to answer. Hoping is to play, and that is what we're beginning to prepare for. Is that opportunity to get our team together and play? And the expectation is that the people that make those decisions hopefully will make the right decision for these kids to play.
Coach, I wasn't blowing wind up your skirt with that introduction. Everybody who speaks of your program speaks of how well it's run, how well your kids are coached, and they know they're in for a game. But you brought up indirectly whether or not we're going to play in January. That's COVID-19 related. You certainly have had your brush with COVID-19 on your staff and one of your players. Can you speak to a little bit how you're handling the pandemic?
I'm personally handling it well. I've been at home with my wife. I've only had one kind of knucklehead moment with her for all these months, so I'm hanging in there. So I'm very lucky with Laura. It's been hard with our boys because March 13th was the last day we saw them. Then we got one day in the summer to try to do something. Unfortunately, our district decided to not let us continue. And then just the other week, we've been allowed to bring very small groups on campus to do some training, no football stuff at all. So that's been a real positive just to see them again. Obviously, we're all in mask and just running around the field and getting the grass under our feet again. And I'm really happy for the seniors because who knows if they're ever going to be in a classroom again. But to get back on their campus and feel like it might happen, that was energetic for us as a coaching staff.
But you had a coach and a player test positive, did you not?
I had a coach. Coach. Yes. And that was late June, and it was work related. He was in the restaurant business, and just the crowds being in there, he ended up coming down with COVID-19. Yes.
So how's he doing? He's good now, right?
He's doing wonderful. He's 100%. Yes, he was shut down for a little bit. He got a pretty good taste of it. So he is one to speak to the kids about the seriousness of it. So we're getting that input from him in regards to behaving and please making the right decisions when you're out and about so that we can all come back and continue this. But he's 100%. He's in great spirits. Good. And, he's excited for the 2020-2021 season.
All right.
Coach, you've been coaching as long as I can remember in San Diego. Your son, I believe, is in Kansas at Benedictine. Is that true? Are you ever thinking about going up to the next level, or are you stuck here in high school and loving it?
Well, I don't say stuck. I had some opportunities to explore a while ago. My wife and I decided we love raising our kids here. We love living in San Diego. And I just think it's the right fit for me. We actually went back 2 weeks ago to Kansas City, and we saw their second game. I almost thought about sticking around because we had not made a decision yet. And I thought, why not just teach from there, right? It's all social distancing, and just volunteer and help out at Benedictine College.
Yeah, why not?
So it crossed my mind. They talked to me about it, but the fact that we got the good news that we were going to kick up again, came home, and I'm glad to be with our team. We have some Mission Hills kids there with them, so it was neat to watch them in action. So I got a chance to see live football already this year.
And speaking of live football, the Big Ten is going to start up. That means a couple of your former athletes are going to be seen on highlight reels all over, Olave and Tuttle. You got to be excited about that, are you not?
Super excited. Those guys want to play so bad, and Jack's competing for this with Michael Penix for the starting job at quarterback. Obviously, Penix is an incumbent, but he has a tendency to get injured, and he has his first couple of years. So I know Jack is going to push him to the limit. So we're excited about Jack there. Obviously, Chris is, he's had 2 wonderful years. He was going to have to make a hard decision, because if they did push it back and Justin Fields left, what does he do? I know he's real close to getting his college degree. That's super important for him. But they're all in, and the Buckeyes are going strong.
Yeah.
We've got some others that got the green light. Troy Warner's been playing, Fred's younger brother at BYU. They're having a terrific season so far. But we've got Jake Stetz at Boise. They get to play as an offensive lineman, probably going to start at guard there. Justice Tae at Utah State. Justice, I just got a piece of mail from Green Bay, the Packers, yesterday on an evaluation for him. So we're excited. Quentin Hadnot's at Utah State from last year's team. And then we got good old Zeke Mata at LSU. So.
Coach, are you recruiting right now? This isn't a recruiting show.
That speaks to your program. And on that note, we call it a conversation. But, I mean, that list you hadn't finished it. Chris Hauser, thank you, Coach. Wow. I mean, it is the preeminent program in the county. All right, so we're going to have more PPR Unplugged to go. It's now time to reveal this week's Silver Pigskin Gala Awards predictions in a newly titled segment called The National City Mile of Stars. We're going to be right back.
Yeah.
The 2007 Silver Pigskin is awarded to Nelson Rosario of El Camino High. Please.
What can I say? I'm very honored to get this award. It's like a high school Heisman for San Diego area. So I'm very,
Does it make the party in Los Angeles a little bit better?
Oh yeah.
Look how young and handsome you were.
Nelson Rosario, the first to win the award off location, off site. So let's start the, we call this segment, What Does It Take? We're asking athletes, that have made it to the next level, what does it take? So here's Nick James with a question to an athlete who has made it to the next level, Jake Bailey.
Jake Bailey is the punter for the New England Patriots. He boots footballs away for a living. Before kicking away at Gillette Stadium, he was using his rocket leg to set opposing teams back in their own end in the shadow of their own goalpost at Santa Fe Christian and Stanford.
It's a lot of practice. It was a lot of Sunday mornings and early morning weekdays kicking at Santa Fe Christian on the field and just refining your technique so you can be able to perform at the highest level.
Bailey is truly blessed in more ways than one. His support system runs much deeper than his parents raising him to be a great young man with a cannon for a right leg.
My dad, when he was in high school, got in a car accident actually and lost his right leg. And he is still to this day the strongest person I've ever met in my life. He never once complains about having a prosthetic right leg. And he's been the best father I could ever ask for. And that's kind of where I gain inspiration from. Like if I have a bad day of kicking, I have two legs. Like I'm doing okay in the grand scheme of things. And I know that I can have a positive attitude and outlook on life just like he does.
Bailey will continue to boom away when the Patriots offense stalls. He's averaging 46 yards per punt so far this season. This is Nick James for the Prep Pigskin Report.
How cool is it that
these pieces are great?
Yeah, I mean, the show
for all my mess ups today.
Well, Bert, we carry you just because you're loved. All right, hey, in interest of full transparency, we're devoting a space on our website, ppr.com, to keeping track of all the names that come out of our various reporters' mouths as being candidates for the next Silver Pigskin Gala, whenever that may be. We have a variety of awards, I believe 10 in all, and we're mentioning athletes that right now we're keeping an eye on. So, Bert, could you name your athlete and the award you are considering the person for?
This is going to be hard. It's Isaiah King, Montgomery High School down south. He could be offense, he could be defense, he could be pigskin, he could be special teams, or two-way player. I'm giving him two-way player today.
Why is that?
Well, he plays every spot on the field pretty much, and he can change the game. He's 6'3", about 190. His dad's 6'6", so he can grow. He's already committed to Idaho. It's hard to tell with him because he's had 4 interceptions last year, and he's so big, and you can see he stretches the whole field, covers the whole field in the middle, but also as a receiver and catches 4, 5, 8 touchdowns last year. Now, Brandon, you're next.
When Silver Pigskin finalist Elelion Noah went down, a sophomore running back at Helix stepped up. Christian Washington, 7 100-yard games to close 2019. And I think he's about to do the same in 2021. That is why Christian Washington is officially on the watch list for Underclassmen of the Year. Hey, House, who do you got?
Well, Brandon, I'm glad you asked. This week, I'm adding Aiden Sayin to the Silver Pigskin watch list. The Carlsbad quarterback threw 24 touchdown passes and surpassed 2,300 passing yards during his junior season as he helped lead the Lancers into the CIF Open Division Championship game. Not to mention, the Carlsbad standout had committed to play football at the University of Pennsylvania next year. Nick, who's on your list?
Thank you, Madison. Well, I'm going with underclassman sophomore Christopher Williams over at Francis Parker. Young man plays on both sides of the ball, but he will make his hay this upcoming season playing receiver and playing some running back as well. They'll get him the ball in different situations, out in the flat and out in space. So, Beau, who do you got on your list?
Nick, I have Nicholas Gardenera making a run at the Offensive Player of the Year award. As a junior, the Falcon back led Division III with 1,783 rushing yards and 26 total touchdowns. Scripps Ranch will rely on the Bell Cow once again to get them back to the section finals after feeding the two-star athlete 258 times last season. Now to Allison Edmonds.
Thanks, Beau. My Silver Pigskin watch list selection for this week is Lincoln's Herman Smith. This will be his first year with the Hornets after transferring from Madison, where he had 580 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns, as well as 15 solo tackles on the other side of the ball. Nick, who do you have on your watch list this week?
Nice choice, Allison. This week, I'm adding Patrick Henry's Sebastian McQuigg to the Iron Hog watch list. At 6'5" and 250 pounds, McQuigg plays defensive end as well as tight end for the Patriots. And when football isn't in season, you can find Seabass on the rugby pitch where he plays H-back, all while maintaining a 3.64 GPA.
Well,
All right.
Paul, time for another timeout.
Okay.
Carol's Corner is next, but first, let's check out the PPR home life of Aldo Alaweni, brought to you by Renovation Realty.
Wow.
What? Time to welcome on legendary Oceanside football coach and great friend of the PPR, John Carroll, in a segment we call Carol's Corner.
Wow. Coach Carroll, you burned down Instagram with last week's post. What's on store for us this week?
Hey, I was the whole topic about what does it take? What it takes is excellence, and there are 4 steps that I want to talk about with regard to developing the progressional steps that with regard to developing that excellence, in essence, what it takes. And, first of all, you want an excellent team, but to get an excellent team, you have to have a group of individual excellent players. And when they collectively achieve that excellence, then your team is going to be an excellent team. I think coaches should demand excellence. And I think players should demand excellence of themselves and their teammates. So let's get started. So, if good is good, choose great. Great is great, and great leads to excellence. And those 4 steps, and I kind of got the starting point from this I got to give them attribution from when I was coaching at Servite High School in the early 80s. They called them the 4 Ds. And we'll take them one at a time, and we'll branch off a little bit on them and what it takes to be successful. So I guarantee you, if you do these 4 things, you're going to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Number 1 is it all starts with desire. Desire is the want to. I'd walk in with my 9th grade incoming kids, and I'd say, okay, how many of you guys want to start? Everybody's hand comes up. How many of you guys want to be all league? Everybody's hands come up. How many of you guys want to be all CIF? Not as many hands up because they start to know their ability level. How many of you want scholarships? Hands come up. And I said, that's not good enough. Anybody can want it, but wanting it does not get it. So you have to go to the next step, which is the 2nd D, which is determination. Now, determination is taking that want to and internalizing it into a have to, where it's a burning desire. It's not okay to just say, this is what I want, this is what I have to have, and I'm willing, I go to that willingness to do what it takes. But that's the beginning of the workouts. That's following the plan. That's starting the training. That's not enough. The third D, much more serious, is the dedication. It's the do. So we go from the want to the have to the do. Where now I'm doing it every day. I'm doing it to the best of my ability. I'm training my body, my brain in all aspects. But it's not good enough, because there's going to come a day and a time where you just don't feel like it. Maybe a little bit under the weather, maybe just having a bad day, and you just don't feel like it. So that fourth D comes in. It's discipline. It's doing it when you don't want to do it, no matter what. It's the follow through. So it starts with the want to and desire, and then it goes to the determination, and it becomes a burning have to, and then the training starts, and then it goes to dedication, which is the day after day routine, the grind, they call it in athletics, and that's not good enough. And then it has to be followed up with discipline to do it whether you want to or you don't want to. It's the push, it's the drive, it's what coaches call work ethic. And it's one of the first things that college coaches look at in a possible recruit.
Coach Carroll, listening to that four-step plan, all I could think of is, had you been in Bert Grossman's life earlier on, he might have turned that professional career into something special.
I was thinking the same thing. I was watching it the whole time. I don't think I had any of those.
I know. I know. Coach Carroll, you're teaching a master's course, and we appreciate these outings, because I think both athletes and coaches alike can appreciate a man that has as much jewelry as you do in your trophy case. So it's an honor to have you part of our show and back with Carroll's Corner.
Great to see you guys.
Coach Carroll, everybody. We'll be right back with tonight's El Cajon Ford Pigskin Trivia question. You're watching the PPR Unplugged.
Hey ladies, I was wondering if you could teach me a cheer tonight.
Of course we can teach you a cheer. Ready? W-I-N-P-L, let's win. W-I-N-P-L, let's win. One more time. W-I-N-P-L, let's win. Good job. Very good, very good.
Roland Armstrong learning the cheer trade. Hey, just a quick, before we get away from the Carroll's Corner segment, that was edited and put together by Joaquin Duncan, extraordinary photographer here at KUSI, and he put that piece together. That was really well done.
However, I love the Coach Carroll. I mean, we joke a lot, but that was that should be played to every high school coach and a lot of kids. I mean, you don't really get that much info, but spot on and just perfect.
Yeah, you know, in 2020 now, I don't know how much of that kind of mentoring is going on, but I think if you played for Coach Carroll, you got more than a football education, you got a life education, and I think you could do a lot worse than emulating. If I was a coach, I would probably try to steal everything that man has ever done. I would agree. All right, let's hand out some PPR and El Cajon Ford gear. Here's Nick Polino with the answer to tonight's El Cajon Ford trivia question.
Thanks, guys. Time to hand out some gear. But let me start by reminding everyone of tonight's Nobody Beats El Cajon Ford Pigskin trivia question. Which of the 5 following players for the Madison Warhawks did not make the silver pigskin podium? The correct answer is C, Terrell Carter. Despite putting up 3,100 yards through the air with 34 passing touchdowns in his senior season, Carter was left off the podium after falling just a few votes short in the fan vote in 2016. Our social media winner is Tristan Lopez, so please send us a DM, and in turn we'll send you some PPR and El Cajon Ford gear.
Oh man, I remember that, because the kid was great.
Yeah.
He probably, if he'd made it to the podium, he probably would have won the award. And boy, Coach Jackson didn't talk to me for about a month after that.
Yeah, and you missed Alex Smith too. So I mean, you're okay. Quarterbacks are.
That sound means the show is over. Do not forget this extravaganza is replayed Saturday nights at 5 p.m. And make sure, of course, to check out the social media deluge. Folks are going to be talking about you.
I had a full bloopers reel today.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you next Friday. Same pig time, same pig channel. And yes, this is a cow, a Hollandia cow. We'll see you next week on the PPR Unplugged.
大家好，谢谢你们看 PPR 在 KUSI。
Привет все, спасибо, что вы смотрите PPR на KUSI.
Xin chào, come on, check out PPR KUSI.
Hola, gracias a todos por mirar PPR on KUSI.
Hello everyone, thank you for watching PPR on KUSI.